going to be installing Proxmox on an old Thinkpad laptop. First, we're going to push enter to disrupt the booting process, and it goes right into BIOS. Then we want to get into the security tab. And go down to virtualization and make sure these settings are enabled. Or just find the virtualization settings on your computer and make sure the virtualization settings are enabled. We want to back out of here and go to our secure boot and make sure these settings are disabled so we could boot from a USB. Now we want to make sure that we save and exit. And then we also want to disrupt the booting process again. That way we could boot from a USB because they ask us now, and then go to the USB that we want to boot from, and it'll boot our ventoy that we made the last video. We want to go to our Proxmox ISO, yep, and boot in normal mode. And then we want to install the Proxmox graphical. And let it do its thing. Okay, now we could read the terms if we want to, or we could just scroll all the way down and say, I agree. Your choice. And then you want to make sure the drive that you want to use. In my case, I only have the one laptop drive, but if you have more than one, you could actually do RAIDs and such. But for my case, I'm just going to do a simple one drive. Then we want to choose our country and our time zone and our keyboard layout. Once we do, we'll go to next. And then we want to put our password and confirm, and then also put our email address. Once that's done, we go push next. And then we want to put our host name. You could just make one up. Just make sure it has the .local, if you don't have a host name. You got to make sure that your IP address and your gateway make sense to the router you have. These are the settings that make sense for mine. And then you want to also put your DNS server. Once you do, you want to push next. Make sure all the settings are correct, and then let it do its thing again.
2 hours later.
Okay, now it's just about done. And here we go. Now they're going to give you the IP address and the port number that we have to access. You remember that information for our browser. Now let's watch it boot to its terminal. You'll see this. Just wait a second and it'll do its thing. And let it boot. And then here we go. This is what you want to see. Once you see this, you could just tuck the laptop away. You don't need it from here. Uh, and then now we want to go to our browser and then type in our IP address and the port. Once we do that, it'll give us a warning, but you made the server, right? If you should be fine, just go to proceed. And then remember your username and your password. Username is always root, and the password is the one that we set. Once you do this, you don't have to worry about this. It's freeware anyway. Next episode, we'll be going over the settings of Proxmox more, and we'll be installing Windows Server.